Today I'm just filming from a different location. As you can see, I'm filming from my car. As I was driving along, coming back from where I went to, this thought has just been on my mind, and I feel like sharing it with you guys. And let me know what you think in the comments, if this resonates with you, if something that you have experienced. Okay, hello, this is just a quick one. How are you doing? Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time of tuning in, I appreciate you for stopping by. But if this is not your first, I just want to say a big thank you from my heart for your continued support to me on this platform. What I want to speak on is love, unconditional love. We teach about this unconditional love a lot. We talk about it a lot. But when it comes to putting it in practice, that is where we struggle with it. The challenge is putting it in practice. Okay, we easily refer ourselves to the love we experience or we intend to express for ourselves to be, we refer it to that of God, the love that God have for us, or the one that Jesus demonstrated for us by dying for us. That we call it unconditional love, and then we want to experience the same thing. But then when it comes to us sharing that unconditional love, that is when we now struggle. For example, a mother will allow her daughter or her son to get married to someone and then leave the house. The camera will be shaking. Sorry, because I'm just holding it in my hand. I'm holding this in my hand. And as I said, I just want to drop this. It was in my mind all throughout the day, and I feel like sharing it. And I hope it blesses someone out there who is watching this video right now. So, unconditional love. We talk of unconditional love a lot. But as I said, the challenge is putting it in practice. Okay, Jesus demonstrated unconditional love to us. God demonstrated, and is still demonstrating unconditional love, in the sense that when we sin against him, he forgives us. We do a lot of things that God could just strike us dead, yet he forgives us. Okay, that is unconditional love, meaning that the love he has for us is not conditioned. You see, and we that claim to be the embodiment of God, we claim to be ministers of God, we claim to be called by God, anointed, powerful men and women of God, yet we find it very difficult, to practice unconditional love. We struggle with, going through that process of unconditional love. Unconditional means no attachment, no expectation, no interest, no personal interest, no personal expectation, and no emotional attachment to someone else's will or decision. Okay, and I learned this through a hard way, because I'm somebody that can easily fall in love with somebody. It could be a friend, male or female. We struggle with the idea of letting that person be themselves, make decisions for themselves, without trying to influence their decision in one way or the other, without trying to manipulate their decision in one way or the other, and without trying to attach any kind of emotion to their decision, like being angry with their decision or resenting their decision, being bitter with their decision, a lot of ugly emotions. And this is as a result, the reason why we struggle with practicing unconditional love is as a result of our energy still in that low vibrational energy. We talk about God. When I see people quote the scripture, speak about this God, speak about his love, a lot of things, I see how far we are from resembling God. I see how far we are. We have a long way to go with, coming to that likeness. And that is why Mahatma Gandhi said, I don't like Christians, though I like Christ, because Christians are unlike their Christ. What does that mean? We talk about Christ, we preach Christ to people, but when they look closely, they don't see that resemblance. We don't have that likeness of Christ. We that are embodiment of this unconditional love has to learn how to express it. Okay, You have to learn to practice unconditional love. No attachment, no negative attachment, no, negative emotions attached to what. Just let the person be who they are. The reason why you struggle, if you struggle in this area, the reason why you struggle with unconditional love in letting people be who they are is because you yourself, you are still struggling with, you know, becoming or understanding or knowing who you truly are. You are still struggling with knowing who you are, and coming to terms with that person. You are still struggling with loving yourself unconditionally. And when I mean loving yourself unconditionally, that does not include you hurting people, because that is the way you are wired. It is not true that you are wired. God don't create people and wire them to go out there hurting people. Okay, when I say you be who you are, that does not include you lying to people, manipulating people to your own personal interest, manipulating every relationship to suit yourself. That is, the relationship you are in has to be everything about you. It must be about your own comfort. Whatever choice, whatever decision that has to be made in that relationship has to be something to do with your own comfort. Now it becomes selfishness. It is no longer unconditional love. I'm not talking about unbelievers. I'm not talking about ordinary people. I'm talking about, I'm not even talking about, you know, um, church unbeliever, because we have church unbeliever. This is not to insult anybody, but people who has been in church for 5 years and 10 years, 15 years, yet there's no evidence of a changed mindset, of a changed heart. That person is not a born again. That person is simply a church unbeliever. Warming bench. Maybe you can equally be serving a need in the church. Maybe you are serving a need for your pastor, or you're serving a need for the body of Christ, but you are not born again. You are a church unbeliever. For you to be born again, it means there must be a change here. Your mindset, there are things you need to unlearn, and you have to have the heart, you have to have humility and open mind to, relearn new things. You can't put a new wine into an old wine skin. You can't be forcing, new idea, new thought into into a pattern that is outdated, into an old thought pattern. It doesn't work. You always have internal conflict with those thoughts. So you have to be willing, and humble enough, and be open-minded to learn new things. As you are, allowing yourself to unlearn old thought patterns that are no longer serving your highest purpose. Unlearning old patterns that are sabotaging your spiritual growth and your personal spiritual growth. Unlearning old patterns that are keeping you stuck. You are not, you're not truly living in your potentials. You are not, sometimes it is not even allowing you to understand your potentials. Not to talk of, maximizing those potentials. It creates continuous internal conflict, because you refuse to let go of those thought patterns. You refuse to learn new things. You refuse to unlearn the old ones. So, sometimes we quote the scripture, but we misinterpret it because we don't understand it. So the reason you struggle with, if you truly struggle in that area, with loving people unconditionally, it is because you don't love yourself unconditionally. You see, when we talk of self-love, people don't understand. There is a lot to learn when we talk of self-love. Self-love, there is a lot to learn. It's a whole lot of, school of thoughts. You need to school yourself in this area of self-love. Everything has to start with self-love. If you want to build a healthy relationship with people, no matter what the relationship is, be it friendship, be it intimate relationship, be it father-mother relationship, be it relationship with your own children, it has to be, and it must start from self-love. If you don't love yourself, just as the Bible said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. Imagine, let's just assume that neighbor is a friend. It's a neighbor is a metaphor. It is not necessarily somebody that lives near, that is the next door to you. A neighbor can be that sister in the church, that brother in the church. A neighbor can be, your colleague at work. A neighbor can be that person you meet always at the supermarket that, works there. A neighbor could equally be a friend. So if you struggle with loving yourself unconditionally, you want to push yourself because you want to prove a point, because you want to, you know, you want people to validate you. When we seek validation, when we seek to prove a point, when we want to show, it is because we are seeking perfection. We are seeking perfection because we want others to validate us. We are seeking validation because we are insecure. We are not honest with who we are. We are not loving us in our own skin. We are not loving us unconditionally. I always say this. I still work on loving myself unconditionally. I still work on, practicing self-love, because as I said, it's a school. It's a school. You don't come to, how do I put it? You don't arrive. You just learn every day. You make mistakes, you fall, and then you learn your lessons, and then you keep walking, you keep walking, you keep walking. You see, that's why God is after building our character. Everything has to start with who we are. What we show people outside is the reflection of who we are on the inside. How we treat people is the reflection of who we are on the inside. Is how we treat ourselves. It's how we treat ourselves, how we see ourselves. Sometimes we treat people out of our own insecurity. Most times it's not about what that person did or did not do, but most times it's from our own insecurity. Okay, for example, you love somebody so dearly, and then you want to influence their decision. You don't allow them to make decisions. You don't accept their decisions. You don't accept their choices. You want to hold them. It's like you see a beautiful flower, a beautiful rose flower, and you like that flower so much. You love it so much. And then you take a scissors, you cut the rose flower, you bring it to your house, and you put it on the table to beautify your home because you love it. That is not love. That is not true love. It is love, but it is not unconditional love. It is not true love. When you love that rose flower, what do? You try to understand its characteristics. You try to understand its need. Its need in that moment could be you watering it and allowing it to blossom. But you cutting off that rose flower and bringing it into your house to beautify your house is selfishness. It's self-centeredness. It is love with interest. You attach the love to that rose flower with interest. You don't even care so much about its well-being. Okay, then apply this to your relationships, and you can get the picture of what I'm trying to make you to understand. No matter how painful it is, sometimes God allows us to go through painful, heartbreaking experiences to teach us unconditional love. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm learning, because in every of my experience, I always ask myself, what is there for me to learn? God, as I said, is after building our character. Sometimes God will allow some certain experiences to teach you patience. And sometimes it's to teach you humility. Sometimes it's to teach you the act of allowing, letting go of what you cannot control. Because once we want to control a human being, it is no longer unconditional. No matter what excuses we want to make to prove a point, to prove we are right. And mark you, when you want to always be right, you become a narcissist. A narcissist is someone who never see their wrong. They will always justify their wrong, finding an excuse to justify what they did wrong, finding an excuse to justify their error. That is a narcissist. And a narcissist does not embody the love of God, because the love of God is unconditional. As I promised, I want to make this video very short, and I hope you have learned something from this short, message that I just feel in my heart to drop. And if so, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share with your friends. You could be a blessing to someone, yeah. And that's also being unconditional. Sharing. Love is sharing. Love is not hoarding. Love is not taking, always taking. A healthy relationship is where there is equal give and take. There is balance, just like night and day. It has to be transparent. Unconditional love has to be transparent. It has to be like night and day. It has to be honest. It doesn't have to have any negative emotions that is attached to it. Unconditional love has to be understanding, trying to understand the other person's point of view. This decision this person is making, this choice this person is making, where is it coming from? Why is this person deciding to make such decisions? Is there anything I can do to make that person's, life be better? Is there anything I can contribute? Even in friendship takes energy. You must invest. You become something else when you always think about yourself, about taking. You become a taker, and it's not good. Even in friendship, you must invest something. You must invest time. You must invest, energy. It is not always about material things like money. And no matter how little, even money is also necessary. Because if you call somebody a friend and you are always wanting to take, and you have nothing, absolutely nothing to give to that person, it means that person is not a friend to you. It means that person, you don't consider that person a friend, because a friend is someone that you can call at any time. The person will be there for you. A friend is someone that, this is who I consider my friend. Somebody that if I found myself in the hospital today, I can call on the person and the person will come immediately over to come and see me. Or find a way to make sure that that he contributed to my well-being and my wellness in one way or the other. You can be there for somebody even though not physical, but you can still be there for somebody, and the person will know that yes, you are there for that person. There must be an investment of some kind, either time, either energy, or resources. So we are all loaded. We are all loaded with all this. Time is what you can still give and you can still have. Energy is what you can still give to somebody. Is what you can give to somebody and you can still have. It costs you no farthing. And when you don't, give any of this, you don't invest in any of this area that I mentioned, then that person is not important to you. That person is not your priority. You are only taking advantage of that person. Okay? And just as Miles Monroe rightly said, what you take advantage of is what you don't value. And what you don't value, you end up abusing that thing. And what you abuse, you lose. Okay? So unconditional love starts with you, and it has nothing personal attached to it. It has no personal interest attached to it. It does not impose itself on the other. That is unconditional. It means unconditional. It means there's no condition. That is God's kind of love. And that is the love we need to work ourselves to come to. That is when we can easily forgive without having any grudges and bitterness. That is when we can even say, okay, I am giving my friend, that is when we can give our enemy water and give them bread. When you can bring yourself to give your enemy water and give them bread, then imagine your own friend and you said you have nothing to give. It is a big lie. Thank you for watching so far. Be honest, be true, because God is true. Bye. See you next time. Stay tuned.